He hails from Central Illinois and made his way to the Big Apple and Hollywood. The country is all abuzz about the reboot of TLC's Trading Spaces. We're so excited to welcome home Doug Wilson. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Heather.
So how does a Central Illinois farm boy make it out to New York and Hollywood on TLC's Trading Spaces?
Well, first of all, you take a plane from Champaign directly into New York, which in that day and age, it was Ozark Airlines. Yes.
Really?
From Willard, I took a direct flight to New York.
Wow.
Yeah. So
how did you get started in the whole,
well,
this is the first show of its kind, you know, debuting for design and reality TV.
Well, many people in this area know a lot about me and doing theater and acting. I was in community theater. I acted at Sunshine Dinner Playhouse here in Champaign. I went to the University of Illinois. I played Sky Masterson, Danny Zuko at the Assembly Hall in college, and I was a voice major, but I also was involved very much in interior design here in Champaign. I worked for an artist by the name of Orrin Johnson, and got a lot of background in graphic arts, interior design. So when I moved to New York on that Ozark flight, direct from Willard to New York, I was going to the National Shakespeare Conservatory to study acting.
And lo and behold, now here you are in a reality home design show.
Yeah. So, you know, after, studying acting, I developed a business called Handyman Can that veered into decorative painting and contract painting, that then veered into interior design, and then I started to get credit in the New York Times and major publications like House and Garden and so on. And then a production company sent me a letter, back in
snail mail.
In 2000, snail mail, asking me if I would be interested in this interior design show that became Trading Spaces. So in a nutshell, that's, the trajectory of how I started and how I got onto TV.
And now it's kind of had a little 10-year hiatus. You've had a little break.
I haven't had a hiatus, but the show had a hiatus.
The show had a little hiatus, and now look, 10 years later, the cast is reuniting. It seems, just like with fashion, everything comes back around, right?
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for people wanting nostalgia and wanting that comfort. We live in a time right now, I hold my hands together, unfortunately, that we're a little unsure. And I think that with the comebacks and reboots of things like Roseanne and Will and Grace and even game shows and now Trading Spaces, that I think Paige Davis quoted this in an article, that it is comfort food. We want to feel comfortable again. We want that nostalgia. We want to sit back and kind of forget about the mayhem that we're seeing in the news media.
Right. So the premise of the show is two designers get together with neighbors and redo a room.
Yes.
So is that kind of the same style for this season?
It is exactly the same. The original concept of the show, like you said, was two neighbors switching homes for 2 days. It used to be $1,000, but now it's $2,000. We have two carpenters, a carpenter for each home, and we transform the home. Now, the catch of the show is, if none of you have ever seen it, let me tell you, the catch is the neighbors are really not supposed to have any say whatsoever in what happens in their home. It's supposed to be the neighbors who are working in their home.
Right.
So that doesn't always happen, and we don't always get, the information that we need. So sometimes we take it upon ourselves to create what we think, should happen. And that's where the true jeopardy and the true fun of Trading Spaces comes in.
So is it all of the same familiar faces? But I hear there's some new ones, too. We have a top model alum in the mix.
Yes. Well, the original, or at least the originals that are back, Frank, who is going to be on the show with Jeremiah and Nate. We have Lori. We have Vern, who was actually not an original, but he came on later. But he's, you know, called an original. Hildy, of course, who we are the gruesome twosome. Paige is back. Ty is back.
Wonderful.
Carter is back. He wasn't an original, but, you know,
We'll
he's
take him.
considered an OG, you know. So.
Okay, well, you're going to stick around. We're going to play a little game. And
games. I like games.
I have to tell Doug how we're connected. We have connections, something in common that's a surprise for him. So we'll be back with more with TLC's Doug Wilson.
I'm a little scared.